And welcome to the 757 House Whisperer Show with my good buddy, Chuck Worley. He is here with us. Been a while since we've gotten to do a show together. He's fiddling with his phone right now, as he always is.
Trying to get this stupid Facebook Live thing going.
Are we streaming?
We are streaming.
Nice. Where can we find you on social media? Let's start there.
You can find us at the 757 House Whisperer Show, which is what we're bringing in tonight. You can find chuckworley.com, callworleys.com, like pretty much any social media site. You should be able to see me in my orange and green truck somewhere. So
once we see you, we can't unsee you.
You cannot unsee me, and a lot of people really want to unsee me once they see me because, like Lee, there is a reason that Lee and I do radio.
We got some radio faces on us, that is for sure.
We have the face for radio.
That's right.
It's a perfect job for us.
Who else we got with us here?
Brad Pitt and I and you just don't get along. Like we're not on the same face.
This is true. Yeah.
Yeah, so tonight I have Mr. Albin. I'll let him introduce himself to you.
Hey, Albin with Albin Co. here. We specialize in remodels, home additions, bathroom renovations, kitchen renovations, and we're just having a fun time here tonight, waiting for some callers to come in, and wanted to introduce two other people on the show that aren't here tonight but are representing is Justin with Pyramid Roofing, and he kind of prides himself in the fact that they're one of the only ones that will still come out and help you with small home repairs on your roof. But they also do a major re-roof. So, I mean, if you got a roof out there, he's the guy to go to. If you got a small leak, he's the guy to go to. So he'll help you in either case. And then Michael Davenport with CVP Custom Windows and Doors. They've got a plant down in Newport News. They do a fantastic job for windows and doors. So you can get either replacement windows or new construction windows, and they make a really good product. I've been using them for it's been 24 years now. So
you're getting old.
Yeah,
you're getting long in the tooth. Not as long as Michael Davenport's tooth.
No.
His tooth is very long.
I didn't realize the other day he was saying that they started their company. They must have started just before I found them, because I started using them back in 2000. Might have been even 1999. I think they must have opened up in like 1998 or something.
Late 90s. Him and his partner Barry got together, and then he got involved. He built their building. I mean, they have a great location, and one of the only local window companies that produce their own windows. They make their own windows local here. And when I say local, I mean like Newport News local. Like it's built here, it's made here. They'll install it. You can buy them.
Personable, you call
great.
Up, you get,
and you can walk
great
the showroom.
Service.
You can walk.
It's just
not just
amazing.
a showroom. If you don't believe that they're built as good as they are, you can literally walk into the back of the building and see them being built. So we got a lot of great co-hosts. I'm going to talk about a couple other ones. So Cindy Raw with Alpha Pest Solution. She is the only woman with a license to kill. And she's not taking requests for spouses, but she does kill bugs. So, Jack Keller, that's our young buck at a group. He's owns Legacy Painting, does a little sheetrock repairs and any kind of paint stuff we refer him to. So he is fantastic. He'll be on next week. And the reason I started this show was to kind of be a public service announcement and public service answering questions for customers in our 757. This is a not nationally syndicated show. This is a local show put on by local contractors that I trust, that do a fantastic job. I know 100 contractors, and I picked Albin to do the contracting at my house. So I think that speaks volumes for him. But reason we wanted to give 757 a place where customers, employees, listeners of the show, listeners of 790, to call in and ask questions about their problems in their house, whether it's a gutter problem, a roofing problem, a crawl space problem, a humidity problem, which we all know we've talked about for a year. Bro, we're coming up on a year.
Wow.
This is I don't know what week it is, but find out what week it is. What week is this for the year?
Week 40.
40 something?
45.
So
This
we
is
have
week
done.
45,
We have
I
been
think.
here 40 some weeks in a row, and I will tell you, it is tough producing a show every week. But
This is the 45th week of the year.
45th week of the year, not to be confused with the 47th new president. So, sorry, I was a little excited there. I didn't mean that to come out.
You had to
So,
get all political on me.
I know.
I'm
I know.
canceling you,
I
Mr.
know.
Worley.
Please don't. I know our listeners, most of them are enjoying our victory. So
Chuck, I think we got some good trivia questions.
we
need to
do.
get
So let's
those
go
out
over
there.
trivia questions. And I want to remind you guys, 757-627-7979. Thank God they write that on the board, Lee. So 627-7979. Call in with any questions about your house. I challenge you to stump me and Albin tonight. There's nothing about construction that we can't help with. From heating and air, electrical, plumbing, construction, general construction, even windows and doors, and anything that you could call in and ask questions about your house. That number again is 627-7979, and we're going to give you some motivational things to call in on. Number one question: what color? And you can let Albin give you a hint how you can find this out. What color are pyramid roofing struts? What color are pyramid roofing struts?
This is kind of like we're grading our listeners here because it's
are.
out there. It's
We
on
are.
the airwaves. This color is said over and over again. So maybe if you just reach back into your mind and you can hear a little jingle.
That's
in your
what I'm
head,
talking about. That's right.
You
That's
may
right.
figure out what that color is. So well, we got somebody humming it too.
Yeah, they got some.
Yeah.
So, and then the second question is, if you are driving down the road and you see a beautiful, and I mean beautiful, green and orange truck with Worleys on the side and the back and the hood and the top and all over the place, what number truck are you looking at?
Now this is
So call in and give the license plate number, because all my trucks are graded by the license plate, so I can figure out if anybody's making any mistakes that they can be held accountable.
a little bit of healthy competition here. We're looking to get the caller with the highest number truck. And, you know, there's a lot of trucks out there. Chuck, how many trucks we got out there?
Well, I'm gonna let
or
them,
you.
that's gonna be one of the questions.
Okay,
How many
okay.
trucks does Worley's Home Services have on the road? How many by license plate? How many by,
trucks does Chuck Worley truck if Chuck Worley could?
Yeah,
that was difficult.
Worley trucks.
That was
All
difficult.
right, I'm not sure how that
That would be a
happened,
little-
but we digress. We digress.
That's a tongue twister.
So that's our
But
trivia
just
this
to be
week.
sure you know, you're calling in with, if you see a truck right now, call in the truck number.
Which
see
is
if you
on the
can come
license
yeah.
plate. It's
So,
on the license plate.
yeah, look
I
for
never
it.
understand these people that have a license plate number and then they write the number on the side. Nobody looks for that. No, 17, 170, like nobody looks for that number. But on the license plate, you cannot miss it, right? Yeah. So anyway, that's why we chose to spend
We
the
have
extra money.
one more trivia question for all those electronic geeks out there.
We do.
You know, Chuck's in the electrical business. He's got a division that does that kind of stuff. So we were kind of bouncing this around and thought this would be a good question for those that are electricians out there. So, what is the last thing that leaves electrical components before they stop working? I'll repeat it. So, what is the last thing that leaves electrical components before they stop working?
And you don't have to be an electrician to answer this. This is a very simple answer. So remember to call in 627-7979. Call in. We are giving away a gift card for coffee, a free coffee. So call in. Anybody that calls in to answer the trivia, or anybody that calls in about any questions about their house, from heating and air, electrical, plumbing, construction, spray foam insulation, crawl space, pest control, pretty much anything. The 757 House Whisperer focuses on the entire house. The entire house works as a system, and it all works together. So what we've done is we tied together some co-hosts that can help homeowners in the 757 figure out problems in their house.
So last week, Justin was brought up an interesting question, and I kind of like didn't want to answer it because it was kind of like one of those that it's just debated quite a bit, and I thought that you would definitely probably have something to say about it. But he says, isn't it time for us to close the vent covers on our crawl space? And I said, that's a debated question.
So I actually just had a friend of mine text me and said, "Hey,
you get a lot of conversation on that question."
Yeah. I think it's a good question because we're not at freezing point when it's freaking 80 degrees outside, which I will tell you sucks for a heat and air guy. But it's because nobody knows why to call you. Like they're like freezing in the morning, sweating. So you call about no heat. I get there at 1 o'clock. They got the AC on. They're like, no, I'm good. I'm like, we're not coming back. We're gonna fix it now. Like let us turn on the furnace for a second and see if we can figure out what's going on. Because tomorrow morning you're gonna call me again. So, but yeah, let's go to the call. Hey,
we got somebody that wants.
Thank you there, Mike, for making that bold print so the blind people can see it. You hit 56, man. All of a sudden, these readers come into effect. I got laser surgery like 20 years ago.
For me.
Yeah, we got laser surgery like 20 years ago, and the guy goes, "Look, when you hit your 40s and 50s, you're gonna have to start readers. To read, you're gonna have to get glasses." I said, "Heck no, I'm just gonna stop reading." So, and I did, but then I started a Bible study, and then I had to pull my daggone glasses back out. So that's frustrating.
Or you got to get somebody to hold the book a little further away, huh?
There is that. Yeah, that is very.
So Jeff in Portsmouth's got a question for us about mini splits. Hey
guys,
Jeff.
Thanks for taking the call. Appreciate you being on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Hopefully you're enjoying the show.
Oh, absolutely. I had a guy come out to charge my mini splits about 5 years old, and it's had to be charged 3 times now.
Oh my!
And yeah, he talked about the flanges not being right from the factory, and he wanted to put stop leak in it. And I asked him to hold off till I've investigated further.
Yeah, that's a great response by you. That is, yeah. I probably would not want to put stop leak in a. They're very sensitive, right? The compressors are fantastic compressors. I will tell you, I know I've said this on the show, you probably heard it, but I have 0 crawl space and my attic's really narrow. So I ended up going with 5 mini splits heads inside my house. So I have 0 ductwork in my house, which I'm very excited about. So about, because most duct systems leak about 30% unless they're brand new and brought up to code. So they have what you call torque wrenches that, they've been around for a long time, but not everybody has used them. So what I would recommend, unfortunately with mini splits, and they are fantastic. I told you, I just put them in my house, right? So I wouldn't have put them in my house if they sucked, right? So great products, right? So the problem with them is when you can't just add Freon to them like most people did with the ACs and the air conditioners of old. They would just, it just needs another pound of Freon. I can't tell you how many people, hey man, I just need you to give me a pound of Freon. No, it doesn't work like that. With mini splits, you actually have to weigh in the Freon. Like it is very, very scientific. They are very finicky, very sensitive. So you can't just add Freon. You literally have to pull all the Freon out, and then you have to pay for all the new Freon going back in. Even though the other Freon's not bad, it's just the way you have to do it with mini splits. So you have to measure the Freon line set length, and then you have to figure. There's a calculation.
Some math. Huh?
It's definitely math. And as I may have mentioned on the radio show before, Jeff, I hire smart people. So That's math above my eyesight, so or my mind sight. So I let these guys do it. But my point of telling you that is, obviously we have a leak. You're going to have to pull it all the way down. You're going to have to pull a vacuum on it. We're going to have to find that leak. We're going to have to pressurize it, find a leak. It's probably one of the wing nuts or whatever. What the heck's the word I'm looking for? I keep losing words. Flange. Yeah. So probably 90% chance that, I mean, it's not rocket science. 90% chance that's probably what it is. But there may be some inside the wall too. So we need to put pressure on it, see if we hear it, and then, narrow it down, and then hopefully
if it's leaked that much, you got to wonder if something might have been damaged at install. But if it's holding any pressure at all, it's got to be super small leak. It can't be too big, or you'd be calling them every day. So, but you definitely want to, maybe talk with Chuck.
What's that?
It's about 18 months they have to come out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's going to get expensive fast if you don't find the leak. Chuck can probably get you situated there.
Yeah, I could get a tech out there tomorrow. Probably just I'll get your Mike probably got your information, so we'll give you a holler tomorrow and come out.
Sorry you're experiencing that.
Yeah, that sucks. But
they're nice systems, but if I spend $300-400 every year,
yeah, exactly.
It takes it.
Well, it's a pain in the butt. You're missing time from work. It's just a pain in the butt, right? You spend thousands of dollars on something, you want it to work. So,
and when it's not working, it's usually at the hottest or coldest part of the day when you experience it, and that's just no fun.
Yeah, I always joke around. Someone calls in and says, "Man, Chuck, how long you think I got?" I said, "When's your mother-in-law coming into town?" He's like, are you serious? I said, absolutely, I'm serious. I mean, the thing's 15 years old, 14 years old. Heck, if it's 6 years old, when is that thing going to break? As soon as mama's mama shows up, that is going to break, and you are going to be the daggone son-in-law. So it is funny but accurate. Unfortunately.
Crazy.
So, hey, thanks for calling in, and thanks for the kind words about the show, Joe.
All right, thank you, guys.
All right.
Yeah, no
Mr.
problem.
David, I guess with David coming up.
Oh, another
I think David
question
dropped
about
off.
the crawl space fence.
David, I think, dropped off, but we do have number 3.
All right. Well, David called back in and had some crawl space vent questions, and then John.
Hey, John.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
What's up,
man?
John?
I got an answer to the question y'all asked. Like, what's the last thing to leave, like, an electrical equipment or whatever?
Uh-huh.
All right.
It's the smoke. When you let the smoke...
The magic smoke. There's no component out there that'll work without that smoke. It is what makes the component work. But so when it leaves, it's going to stop working.
It'll stop working.
Yeah, that's right. Very good,
That is
man.
funny. So you got a lot of electrical experience?
I got enough to know as soon as you let the smoke out, it won't work.
Exactly.
That is hysterical. So, yeah, they said, normally, you get popped by electricity. It only takes 1 or 2 times to figure out. Yeah, I'm not trying to do that ever again.
What type of electrical work do you do? Are you more electronics or you're an electrician?
I just dabble on my own stuff.
Okay. Well, I'm impressed. I'm impressed. You knew that. That is
very
funny.
good.
That means you got a lot of experience.
So you do. I'm guessing you do. Maybe if you dabble in with that stuff, you kind of maybe tinker with the new low voltage stuff and all that. It's coming down the pipe for houses and stuff.
No, not really. My dad did maintenance for probably 30, 40 years. I learned a lot from him.
Yeah.
Did he ever?
And I got
Did he ever tell you how to check
heat and AC techs.
Did he ever tell you how to check the amps with the back of your fingers? The fingernail side of your fingers. So if you lock on, you don't clamp your hand shut on it.
The unofficial way to check.
I had a guy. I went through the apprentice school at Newport News Shipyard, and the guy's licks the back of his fingers. And I mean, out there, man, we got 600 amps for it, 250. I mean, we got a lot of amps out there. So he licks the back of his hand. He pops this wire that's the size of I mean, like a coffee cup. Like
Oh,
this
my.
wire is like. He pops it back up. Yeah, that's 600 amps. And I was like, what? Are you serious? He goes, yeah, I could tell. Yeah, exactly. I could tell by the power. I said, she's like, try it on this one. I said, dude, you have lost your mind. You have lost your mind. You got to think I'm the dumbest dude on the planet if you think I'm touching that electrical wire. And if I do, I'm gonna grab you so it hurts you and not me. Yeah.
Oh,
exactly.
So, John, what kind of house you got? You got a fixer-upper? You got a new home construction?
It was built in like 1917, I think. It's an older house.
Oh, wow, man.
In Virginia Beach. That's awesome. Had any any questions about the house that you need answered?
No. Like I said, my dad did maintenance for like 30, 40 years, and I got cousins who are heating and air techs and plumbing and everything. I got a guy for everything.
Oh, that's
Well,
awesome.
That's awesome.
That's
You know,
awesome.
Chuck says that houses talk to us, and I bet you that one talks a lot.
Yeah, 1917. Yeah, I think it talks a lot. So looks like we're coming up.
Yeah, it does a fair amount of whispering.
Yeah. Yeah, it probably talks back a lot. So.
Right? I cuss it out. It cusses me out.
Yeah, exactly.
You got understanding.
Exactly. All right, we're getting ready to go to break. Hey, thanks for calling in, man.
John.
Hope you're enjoying the show.
Oh, dang it. Pleasure's all on this side, guys. Y'all have a nice one.
Thank
You
you.
too.
Coming back with more 757 House Whisperer Show. 757-627-7979. Call Chuck Worley, 955-9415. News Talk 790 WNIS, the 757 House Whisperer Show. Join the show, 757-627-7979. Here's Chuck Worley.
Answer our questions. There is no way at 6:30 at night somebody does not see my truck. We should at least have somebody running out of their house to see their neighbor's truck. My Worley truck parked next door, where they live at. Somebody's got to cheat. Somebody's got to see one of my trucks. There's no way the thousands of listeners out here that not one person sees.
Well,
I'm pretty
we
sure
could make it a little easier on them too. Maybe you saw a truck today. You're not seeing it right now, but you remember the number. Or you have somebody that lives next to you that
That's
drives
what I'm
one of those
thinking. That's what I'm
trucks,
thinking. They'll
and
run out front.
you probably have seen the number over and over again, and it's probably in your head. So call in with that number.
All right, call
I'm pretty
in with
sure
that number.
you guys have somebody who works for you guys that lives like right next to me in Portsmouth. I see your truck all the time parked on the street.
What number is it? You
But
know?
see, I've never looked at the number. So
Now, next time I see it, you're
Yeah.
gonna be like, I know it's 30.
I got your number, Chuck.
I got your number. The second question is, what color are pyramid roofing trucks? We even tried to give you a hint.
We gave you a hint during the break.
757-627-7979. Call in. Any questions about your house? Heating and air conditioning, crawl spaces. We got a question texted to us or called in about closing vents. We're going to go over that, but I want to give you guys an opportunity to call in with any other questions. 627-7979. I want to introduce Justin with Pyramid Roofing. He is Justin Murphy. He's our roofing sponsor. Of course, Michael Davenport with CVP Custom Vinyl Windows, windows and doors. We've been friends for over 35 years, which is really hard since I'm only 39. So, and then Albin, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Albin Co. with we do residential remodels. We'll do baths, kitchen, that kind of stuff. And then also wanted to introduce to you Jack Keller with Legacy Painting. Chuck always refers him to the young buck in the group. So he is young, but he's knocking it out of the park. Doing a great job on a lot of people's houses out there with the custom painting. And then we also have Cindy with Alpha Pest Solutions She is the only woman in the 757 area that has a license to kill
At least the only one we know
bugs
about.
anyway. So
Yeah.
So, but
call in. We got a gift card for you. If you call in with any questions about your house, any problems that you're having with your house, call in, ask any question about your house, and we will be able to help you. From, anything, concrete, bricks, like any issue with your house. The crawl space, moisture issues in the crawl space, attic, sweat, condensation, you're cold.
So, okay, so for a public service here, we're coming into the cold, and Justin had that great question of whether they should be closing or opening vents. And Chuck's probably sitting here thinking, well, you shouldn't do either. You should just go ahead and get it encapsulated. But
Which would be
for
closed.
those that aren't ready to do that yet, tell me some arguments about why you would close it or why, and then tell me the other opposing arguments that might say, well, right now you should open them. So I've heard both sides of this story. So maybe you can expound on that.
Sure. Yeah. So I just had a friend of mine call me this week. Mike, if you're listening, I'm gonna repeat again what I told you, but basically we're going into the winter season. So what are we trying to defend the house against during the winter time? That would be cold, right? So we want to stop the cold from getting into our houses. That's why we insulate. That's why we spray foam. That's why we seal the house. That's why we put windows in the holes. That's why we put doors in the holes. That's why we have insulated outside doors. We have triple panes, double pane, like all these different panes. Everything's about trying to keep the cold out of the house, right?
Yep.
All right. So the crawl space is going to be not different from that aspect. So what we're going to do is we are going to try and stop the cold air from getting into the house. Why are we going to do that? Well, if you leave the vents open, you are going to have, let's say it's 30 degrees outside and the wind is blowing. Anything under 32 degrees, you have risk of freezing, right? So what we don't want is it getting in the 30s, even if it's 38, 39, 40, and the wind is blowing like crazy, the wind chill is below 32, it has the risk of freezing pipes, freezing. The ductwork's going to have to work twice as hard because I got, 20-degree air on the outside of the duct, 100-degree air on the inside. It's going to... Oh, excuse me. Lee, you were really boring me tonight. I just,
We were all up late.
Yeah. Actually, I was up late last night. I went to the Ferguson Center and saw the Temptations. I highly recommend anybody going to that show. It was, I don't like staying up till 11:30. It's not normal, but that was the best show I think I've ever seen. It's a Broadway show. This is the travel people, but they were into Ferguson. I don't know where they're at tonight, but anybody listening, you have to watch this show with Otis Williams and the Temptations. What a great story. Tells their story. It's fantastic. But as I digress, but I was up late last night to watch that. But so back to the cold air. We're trying to stop the cold, frigid air from getting into the crawl space. Because, 30% of the air, the natural draft of a house is up. So any air in your crawl space, 30-some% of it is coming into your house just because of the natural. I'm going to yawn again. Sorry. Now it's Lee's fault.
All together now.
Sorry. So anyway, the cold air is going to come into the house, which means your furnace has to run twice as long. And so during the wintertime, we want to close the vents every single time without there's nobody can argue that. During the wintertime, pest control guys, everybody is doing the same thing, closing the vents, stopping the cold air from getting in. I shouldn't say stop it. It slows it down from getting into. It will
might even stop a couple of rodents too that are seeking shelter.
That too, yeah. It will, yeah. And of course, if there's any heat in your ductwork, rodents are going to be attracted to that, right? So that's why I do full encapsulations. I pull permits on my encapsulations. We're using 2-inch foam board underneath the house. We're stopping infiltration of cold air getting past that cinder block wall and getting, or brick, and getting into your house. So that
So
is
during
my-
the encapsulation, I would imagine you guys are putting in some possibly sump pumps and different things like that too, huh?
we are.
Because I mean,
We
you got
are.
some moisture in there. Maybe there's
Not during the
individual-
winter, but
Yeah, so you get a lot of,
definitely
definitely not during the winter, but yeah, during those months where we've got the rain, which we haven't had recently, but you're going to have a lot of, I mean, Cindy's always telling us about her swimming in underneath the houses when she's checking for termite and moisture. It's like she doesn't have to go very far to find the moisture when she comes out dripping wet from crawling around in the house. So
she does not.
Yeah.
She does not. And insulation is, I talked about the infiltration of the cold air getting into the house. The problem with the infiltration is with just a vent that's this plastic vent, maybe some metal in it or a metal vent, it's going to infiltrate into the crawl space, which means it's going to get into your house with the natural draft of a house being up. It's getting in your house, making your furnace run twice as much, which y'all hear me talking about spray foam all the time. It's the best thing. I think bat insulation in a crawl space is from the devil. Like, it's awful. It's a great place for rats and mice. And then what chase rats and mice? Snakes. Like, and I'm a big guy, but I do not mess with those. So I call Cindy. She protects me. So my point is, it's just, I call it the Holiday Inn for animals. So bat insulation is the Holiday Inn for animals. So bat insulation in a crawl space is foolish. And I will argue anybody. And when I'm doing my CAD drawings and load calculations, it's less than 11% of the load calc on your house. Now, windows, 30-some%. Roof, could be up to 40% of your heat loss.
Yeah.
Like your roof and attic, right? So for it to be less than 10, 11% of your load calc, it doesn't affect squat on our load calculation. So if you got a 2.4 ton system, or air conditioner, a 2.5 ton system, and your load comes up to 2.39, pulling out the insulation, you don't need a bigger heat pump. It's not going to affect the load by that much that you need to increase the size of your air conditioning. So it is really minimal with the bat insulation. There's just no, and like I said, it's the Holiday Inn for animals.
Well, there's definitely different ways to skin that cat as far as, the bat insulation. Chuck's got solutions that he can recommend. And, that stuff is, it's kind of a weird, the crawl spaces are really a weird part of the whole structure.
And just because we're in a very hot, humid area, it does get cold here. I mean, it's not New York cold, but it's cold, right? So nobody wants that drafty vents. And typically, all ductwork leaks. So when the system is off, that cold air infiltrates into your duct system, and then you turn on the furnace or you turn on the heat pump, and what happens to all that cold air just sitting in your ductwork?
Blast you.
Yeah. It's like a shot of 30-degree air that was outside, now sitting in your ductwork.
Kind of just the reverse of those
So
attic
does that make your furnace run a shorter time or a longer time when it finally comes on?
Longer.
Because you just blew 30-degree air into your house. Hello, so I just, I believe in encapsulations. I've been doing them since 2001. You have to pull permits now. I don't care what these pest control people say. You have to pull. This is a public service announcement. If a pest control person tells you they do not have to pull a permit, it is because they are not doing it up to code. Why else wouldn't you pull a permit? What is the only reason you would not do the right thing and pull a permit when you're doing an encapsulation? Because you're not doing it right.
Because you're trying to cut corners?
You're trying to cut corners.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Well, it's 10,000, 20,000, whatever the number is to do the right job. Yeah, hey, I can do it for this. I can do it for $29.99 if I do this. Well, you know it's not right. You know it's not right. If they're not pulling a permit, they are not doing it right. If they're running a circuit to a DU and they don't have a master electrician out there, they're cheating. They're cutting corners. They are risking your house. If your house burns down and you didn't have a Class A contractor in there, shame on you, right? You know if the guy's like, yeah, I got my buddy pulling a wire for you. What? What in what? You got children in the house. What in the world? So, and then, oh yeah, the wire's already run to your outlet in your kitchen. So I'm just gonna pull the wire down and put it into your crawl space and hook up your DU and put a receptacle. What on God's green earth would allow you in your brain to say, yeah, that sounds safe. Hey, are you going to pull a permit for that? Well, no, we don't pull permits. Oh. Does anybody feel like that's safe? Like I'm getting the hair on the back of my neck sticking up. Like this is what we lose to every day. And you notice I'm a bit passionate.
I think you're a little passionate
I'm a little
about that.
passionate.
I detect a little bit of passion.
I hate losing jobs because some guy said, hey, I could do this for half of what everybody else does. Well, sure. If you're not pulling permits, you're not bringing it up to code. I ran a job and it was for a friend of mine, and we're doing a furnace and air conditioning change out, and he's got some guy at half the price as everybody else. I'm in the middle. You know, you got Bubba and Skeeter, and then you got the franchises, and we're normally right in the middle. And then he's got this crazy guy, right? The number's just stupid. You can't even buy the equipment for the price, which
He'll
means
probably get it half done, right?
Well, yeah, he'll get it half done, right? Because the price is half, right? He's probably stealing the equipment from the guy he's working for, using the guy's truck that he's working for. Like there's a reason for everything, right? If it's too good to be true, what's Dad always say?
It is.
It is. It's too good to be true.
Well,
right?
it's also the insurance factor. You guys are fully insured. And,
I don't pay insurance because I enjoy it.
Yeah, we pay it for you guys.
I don't pay the amount of insurance, and it's all by percentage. If a guy's $1 million company or less, or a bigger company, it's all percentage what we spend. So the number is what he's charging, what we're charging. All the percentages are practically the same. The equipment's X, the 30% or whatever. It's all these percentages in billing, no matter how big the company is, right? Mm-hmm. So
unless they just don't have it, insurance wise.
Well, yeah. So what I call permit money is I call it cash. What is permit money to most companies? That's called cash in their pocket because they don't pay for it. So if they don't pay for the permit, and we do, whose price is going to be higher? Ours, because we're pulling the permit and we're held accountable. Back to my friend, he's pulling a furnace in. I go and look at it. I'm there 13 seconds up in the attic, and I said, "Yeah, we got to pull a whole new flue pipe." You know, this furnace is 20 years old in this man's attic.
The other advantage to pulling permits is it keeps you educated because the code's always changing. So
it keeps you accountable.
It makes you study the code, make sure that you're doing the right thing, because when it comes time to actually submit your work, you're going to find out if you were educated enough to pass.
And every city is different. Every inspector wants something different. Yeah. It's ridiculous how it's one code, but there's 65 interpretations of it, you know. So, but back to my friend, I go up in the furnace. He has a 3-inch flue pipe, which everybody knows. Furnaces have 4-inch flue pipes. Water heaters have 3-inch flue pipes. So I go in there. I said, your flue pipe's too big. I need to run a new flue. And he's like, well, no one else is doing that. And I said, well, no one else cares if your family dies. Like that's it's so like anybody just getting into the business, a 1-year apprentice will know that flue pipe doesn't look right. Like not even a 20-year veteran. Like a brand new guy, right? So anyway, he gets some other prices, and of course, there's a half-price guy and whatever. I said, as long as they're pulling a permit, the city will protect you. He said, what do you mean by that? I said, when they pull the permit, they're going to have to replace the flue pipe, and that's called a change order. So why is my price, I think it was, I don't know, $1,300, $1,200 more than what this other guy was, because we're replacing the flue pipe. I'm not doing the job I'm walking away. Like I'm not doing the job unless you allow me to do the furnace. If you're not allowing me to do the right job, character, integrity, do the right job, I'm not doing your job. He's like, no, I want you to do the job. And I just want you to do it for $1,200 cheaper. I said, well, I can't do that because I have to do the right job because it's code. I pull the permit, they're going to come back, and then I'm going to come back to you and say, hey, Johnny, it's $1,200 more. I'd rather tell you up front than to tell you after the fact because I don't like change orders.
Well,
I think it messes with the character of the company.
Yeah, and there's a certain part of us that also, even if we did get an inspector that kind of decided that they wanted to look the other way, or maybe they just miss it, we want to make sure it's still right. You know, we want it right, and there's certain thing about us,
especially safety stuff. Right, I get passionate about safety stuff. Yeah. Y'all were listening last week. I had a friend of mine call in who almost died from carbon monoxide poisoning. He literally, him and his wife, would not be here today if it wasn't for him falling down and hitting his head and bleeding. And his wife said, oh, they weren't thinking clearly. Like they were out of it. Like they weren't, he kept thinking about trying to feed his cat. Like he was like, oh, I got to feed my cat if I'm leaving the house. Like it was, I saw it. Yeah. So I mean, I do get passionate about carbon monoxide because it is really, really dangerous and it can hurt people. And what most people know, it's less than 1,000 people a year die from carbon monoxide poisoning, but tens and tens and tens of thousands of people go to the hospital thinking they have the flu. It is flu-like symptoms. Last week I read, sorry I should have brought it again, but read sickness, dizziness, sleepy. Like it's the sleeping drug. Like
it's a great time to bring it up with the cold coming on.
Yeah, that's why I'm kind of bringing it. kind of bringing it up. Yeah. So, but yeah, it's. I apologize for my passion, but I love my customers. I would be mortified if someone got hurt. So it's important to educate you guys. That's why we do this show, educating you guys on everything that could possibly be a bad thing, a bad contractor, things to look for when you're doing heating and air conditioning. I've gone into where a water heater was replaced and the flue pipe wasn't hooked up. I'm like, you're blowing carbon monoxide into this guy's house. Like and it was a good company. They just didn't pull a permit. So not a good company. It was a big company. That there's a difference, right? There's good and big, right?
True.
So anyway, that's what I wanted to talk about this week. I know we're coming up on the end of the show. Is that it?
Yeah,
coming up. All right. So thank you guys for calling in. Hopefully we answered your questions. We had a couple of really good questions in about the mini splits, and thank you all for the kind words when you do call in and tell us about the show and you're enjoying it. That really means a lot to us. It gives us encouragement to keep doing what we're doing and trying to help the 757 and the homeowners and our friends.
Don't forget, you can call in after the show, call or text. We still get your answer questions offline.
Yeah, 955-9415. You can text me tonight, text me next week. I had a customer call me a week later after she heard the show. So 955-9415. Call or text, leave a message or text.
You heard the man.
Right, you got the music?
I do.
Next week, guys.
We had to educate my man on our music coming in. So we're gonna let Mark Dunn take us out.
The preceding program was sponsored and paid for by Worley Home Services, who's entirely responsible for its content.